Hello, welcome to Next Level Thursday. I'm your host, Brian Hamrick, and I am standing here with one of my partners. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Josh.
My name is Josh Canale, and I'm with Great Lakes Development Group in Muskegon, Michigan. And Brian and I are working on Lakeview Lofts Phase 2 together.
That's right. So we're building an apartment building in downtown Muskegon, and I thought this would be a good opportunity to kind of talk about construction and development right now, because with interest rates being so high, it's so hard to get things to pencil out.
That's right.
So Josh, you've been through this before many times. You've layered a lot of different things into your capital stack.
Right.
So why don't you talk about how to get construction, especially new construction, to pencil out in today's economy?
Yeah, it can be really difficult, whether you're in the outskirts of a primary market or in a secondary market, such as Muskegon. It can be really important to find financing incentives to help your project make financial sense.
So what have you used in the past, and what have you seen other people use successfully?
Yeah, so starting with Lakeview Lofts Phase 2, we'll be using a RAP grant from the state of Michigan. It's actually federal dollars, but administered by the state of Michigan for revitalization and placemaking. So that's one that we'll be using here. That's a $3 million grant, so no repayment. It's a huge help.
That helps quite a bit.
Making your capital stack work. With Lakeview Lofts Phase 1, we were able to get low interest rate loans through the CRP program with the state of Michigan. That's the Community Revitalization Program, and that's done through the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. This project had $750,000 in 1% interest rate loans and $750,000 in forgivable loans that were forgiven once we got a certificate of occupancy. So that was kind of the magic recipe to make this project work, along with local lender partners. The Community Foundation for Muskegon County and the city both made loans, which were integral to being able to make this project work. Because again, in an unproven market, if you're going out to get a senior loan and you may have a 65 or 70% loan to value, the market can't prove that you can do that. So those community partners are critical to making projects like this work.
Yeah, good point. What other incentives have you used or seen others use?
Yeah, I've seen a really common one is the Brownfield TIF. So that's tax increment financing. It enables you to basically get credit for future capture of your property taxes. So you are awarded a TIF, you can use that to go out and secure financing, and then you get reimbursed through the collection of your own property taxes over a period of years. That's a really good tool. There are certain eligibility requirements, but very valuable. Also seen a lot of others use low-income housing tax credits. Not one that I've used myself.
LIHTC.
Yeah, also a very popular tool for infill multifamily development.
And on our Victory on Leonard, our 120-unit apartment development in Grand Rapids, we're also using NEZ, which is Neighborhood Enterprise Zone.
Right.
And if we have a little bit of retail, that allowed us to access that as well.
Yeah, so Neighborhood Enterprise Zone is actually one that I'm using for Lakeview Lofts Phases 1 and 2 as well as an Act 255 tax abatement, which is a similar abatement for commercial. So that enables us to get a 50% tax abatement on ground floor for new construction, or if it's an existing building, it allows you to get a tax freeze at the current rates. So wow. Very valuable.
So yeah, all these things can really help. And when you're doing new development, you really need to layer as many of these incentives into your capital stack as you possibly can, because new development does not pencil out, does it?
It's really difficult these days. It used to just be in emerging markets that these were critical. Now it's everywhere.
Yeah. And the government realizes that too. I mean, there is a housing crisis. We don't have enough housing for people. And the government, both on the federal and the state and even municipal level, realize, hey, they need to incentivize developers to build more housing.
And it's especially critical at the local level, because participation by a municipality goes a long way towards encouraging participation at the higher levels from the state and from other programs.
Yeah, well, that's a key point, because if you're in a city or a municipality that doesn't incentivize new development, then you probably should not. Yeah, it's a non-starter. You need to have that relationship with the local municipality, the leaders in that community who will back you and help you get that off the ground.
Absolutely. It's critical.
Yeah. So Josh, we have listeners who are all over the country and the world perhaps. So where would you suggest they start to look to see what incentives are available?
Most states will have, if not a housing authority, some other governing body that will sort of assemble what their state level incentives are. Once you get an idea of what those are, it's great to start by talking to your local officials about how they would incorporate those, because usually they can direct you to state team members who are local that know your particular market. and
so
to
who would
guide
you talk to, like the local economic development director?
Yeah,
Where would you
economic
go?
development directors, city managers, zoning departments, all of those are good places to start. Whoever's ear you can get first, they can point you in the right direction.
We've hired attorneys in the past who really know where all the money is and can go find it for us. So it really just depends on how much you want to look and how much you want to spend and how deep you want to dig.
Yeah, and there are services too now that specialize in grants and helping you go find grants that your project would qualify for. You know, through a sort of early interview process, they can find out what all the merits of your project are that would qualify you for a particular grant, and they've got a familiarity with a lot of different types, and they can go sort of shop your project for those different incentives.
Yeah, and that's a good point because it's a very complex, complicated process.
Right.
And you shouldn't feel you have to do it by yourself. There are people out there who are experts and can really help you find that money.
Definitely.
And then go after that money and fill out the paperwork and make it happen.
That's right.
So there you have it. That's this week's episode of Next Level Thursday. How do we layer our capital stack to bring in additional development dollars to help us pencil out on much needed housing, across this country? Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.
Thanks.